This is sort of, I mean, my background is not really in pest animal management at all. Done a few shots. I used to do 308 once, but that was a while ago. But so what I'm doing is a bit left field. I was talking about some of the stuff that we've been playing with in sort of normal grain farm sort of environments, and trying to bring that into more of a pest animal sort of, like some of these things are wide application. Obviously, they're not just for security and all that sort of stuff. So there's plenty of these types of remains. This one you're referring to.
Yeah, something like that.
Where, I mean, there's a plethora of those types of things. So, it's pretty straightforward, small device, camera and the infrared. So there's the infrared illuminator, so that's why you can get night vision. So basically just bouncing infrared image off what it's seeing, and then it's got motion detection, which basically just looks at the change in the pixels of the image, saying is something moving or not, and it triggers to capture an image. And you can see here some of the examples where pigs and foxes and some other warm cuddly creatures are also picking up on things. So it's got that dual purpose, I guess. The night vision stuff is really important, obviously, isn't it? So, but the huge limitation of this type of thing is that A, it's battery powered, and B, it's got an SD card just like your camera. So that's what this picture here is showing, just the data storage card. So you're going to have to go out pretty regularly to check that. What you're saying, Craig, every day they'll go out checking cameras and end up doing a massive job just to be checking cameras all day. So, it's got, plus it's less than $1,000. So talking from $300 to $800 if you get yourself one of these that can get some pretty good still images, but you've got to go out there and you've got no real time knowing what's going on. So I think these have a real place, and for some of this, like I say, for the best and remove and the night vision stuff's really good. So pretty cost effective way of doing things. The thing that we've been working on mostly is some of the remote cameras. So going quite a bit of a step up where you got full remote access to that machine, and there's no need to go and visit the field A to change batteries or B to change SD cards or download SD cards. And these things now it's funny, like 2 or 3 years ago I started looking at these things. There was none on the market that I could find. Nothing that would do this full remote work. And now there's 4 companies that we work with. In the last 2 to 3 years, there's just going to be a massive growth in this area. Probably coming out of the security industry a fair bit, because these cameras are the same cameras what's used in security systems. Around buildings and stuff. So, but price for this is about $3,500. That's 6, and then there's one that's 15. So you can ramp up the money pretty quickly, but you get other features as you go up and up and up, sort of thing. But I guess the big benefit is you've got solar panel battery and full remote access to that machine, so you don't have to go to the field at all and check. And again, the same things: night vision, motion detection, and regular. You can set this up to be taking regular images as well, which is what we've been doing. And if you have a look, this is one of the things that we've been playing. It's one of the things I made recently. So once you get that stuff, you can do. So it's a bit of fun, but just to prove the point that we get time-lapse images of, this is a crop, but you could get time-lapse images of a site and have a look at that, how regular things are happening at that site, whether it's water changes or this is just a crop growing, but you could get a time-lapse of animal movement, give you a really good idea about what's actually happening in that site. And this is just taken off, like we're doing hourly images on this machine, but you could do it every 5 minutes if you want. during the days or motion detected at night. Is there any questions on that style of thing? I guess the big advantage is we've got next G connection now, so all these things work through next G. So before we had that, CDMA was very problematic, but next G really improved that. It's all over.
How transportable are they?
Yeah, I mean, this other one here, you know, that's probably more for a fixed location, but this one here, you can see it just sitting on the ground there. Yeah, some of them they're putting on concrete blocks and putting big poles, like the one you see, like you guys have got on your roads there, on your floodway, it's a 6 metre pole and a concrete block. So you just need a crane to pick up the concrete block, but this thing here, we throw in the back of the ute and shift it around between farms. And we're just about to start a project with Jane and putting this out on a site to look at ferals and native animals and night vision motion detection system. So we're just upgrading the camera at the moment to get it to full night vision. But yeah, they're going to, you know, this is going to become quite mobile. And there's a few guys around here putting on trailers, just telescopic pole, just park it up, just set it monitoring and then drive off to the next spot. So I think that's going to increase.
How far does the infrared beam sort of piece on those ones?
25 metres, I reckon. Yeah. Which, if you want to, you can actually get floodlit infrared as well. Yeah. So there is possibility to go further. The built-in infrared illuminator is 25 metres.
Yep.
Next thing we'll be able to play with, and this is still very raw, but we actually just ordered a gate opener from Gallagher, which is all electronic now, their electronic set-off. So we're going to connect the camera to the gate opener and open and shut gates. So we'll have vision on it and we'll open and shut gates. So we could trap, we could do all sorts of things with it. And your mind sort of, whatever you can imagine, you can probably do it now because everything's electronic. And everything's going to that electronic sensing. So we can start to do a lot of different things. So we're just, right at the moment, we're putting these two things together to actually have remote activation of things.
Based on the visuals, what you're saying there.
Yeah. And I know there's been a bit of work done with UQ, I think, or something. Someone has done automatic detection of, so is it a pig? So that the image actually says, you know it's a pig, and it will automatically dispense the bait based on that it is a pig.
Neale Finch.
So,
They did that trapping out Cunnamulla
yeah.
on goats. With the goats walked through, they got herded into that paddock.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a little part of this, and maybe even use this as a bait dispensing, so we can, it's just a concept we're going to play with anyway. But now that everything's electronic, we can start to do all this stuff, so we can remotely activate a lot of things. Or, like I say, drafting or whatever else you want to do. So, and if you have other types of sensors as well that you might want to use, I don't know what you use in your general pest stuff, but there's a heap of different sensors now that will hook into these things. So it might be soil moisture or a gate opener. If someone opens a gate and will activate, or something crosses a path, or basically whatever you think you want to do, it can be done now with this technology. I think there's so many alternatives and options. So we're going to do a part of that. The other thing is we're starting to play with the tracking devices for cattle, but there is some real opportunity for tracking devices in wild animals as well, looking at behavioural patterns. And this is just some of the things I've just found quickly about what they've been doing, looking at wild dog movement, putting tracking collars on other animals and putting them into wild dogs to actually see what sort of movements they're getting. This one was done with horses, but it's for a different purpose, but the reality is the same piece of technology, still a GPS tracking device that will track movements and work out what's actually happening, look at it and something.
Live feed, you don't have to wait to get the call back.
Yeah, so it's all, I'm not sure what it look like. I just recently went to CSIRO to have a look at what they've been doing. This is what they've come up with, it's an e-tag. So, and it's got GPS, it's got solar panels on it, which actually keep it charged. It's actually, so you put on your husband, you know, it's very good. You see what they got?
Have to cut my ears off.
Once we made it into place, you know. But this is the sort of level that we're getting to now, is GPS, next G connection, all fully remote, wireless, you know, the whole lot, you don't have to touch the thing, yeah, it can be on there indefinitely basically. So, you know, the technology is coming. This is the stuff that the UNE's been working with. We do a lot of work with the University of New England. They've been sort of leading the way with the track and collar work. And that's their collar. I mean, look at the size of the bloody thing, you know, it's huge. It's got a big battery and solar panel and GPS up at the top to try and keep it all running. But, you know, as technology moves forward, we're going to have all these devices that are going to be tracking everything we do.
But that's a horse line, isn't it, the one on the right?
Yeah, that's the cows are doing, yeah, that's cattle. They're doing cattle movement, looking where they, you know, where they're grazing, where they intensively graze versus where they don't graze and why they do. When they sit down and whatever else they do. So yeah, they've even got stuff that goes in the rumen now, like they'll inject a capsule in the rumen to measure methane while the cows are walking around eating. You know, it's the sort of technology that's coming.
So what, it links back to satellites or something?
I don't know how it knows where it is, but it's doing.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like to come out.
Well, you probably do that with soils. It gets removed in, it just stays in there forever. So, yeah, bloody amazing sort of stuff that we're doing. But yeah, I think this is going to improve our sort of understanding. I think the first thing you've got to understand is better before you start managing. So. Anyway, that's all from me. So, is there any comments on some of that sort of? I know it's a bit left field, but it's stuff we're having to play with and see how we can come up with.
So that gate you showed the picture of, in that can recognise whether it's a beast walking up the road or a car.
Well, we haven't got the software to do that. Some people have got the software to do that, yeah. They can actually detect what type of animal it is, just with image detection. So that's, I mean, that work's all come out of all of the face recognition sort of stuff that's going on. That's just incredible what they're doing. That's all the police security stuff is incredible. They're putting these things, this is a bit less off topic, but they're putting these things, you know, elevators, if you come out of the train stations, they're putting these cameras up and they're showing every people's face that's coming up the elevator, because no one's doing this when they come up an elevator, and they're actually identifying people by face recognition based on these cameras. You know, and you don't even know you're getting done. That's not the reality.
It's a big brother thing.
It's a big brother thing. Yeah, it's amazing the stuff that's coming, and it's coming out of those industries that we're picking up benefit from, probably.
They're not actually on the market.
Not that I'm aware of. We're trying to find out where we can, where the commercial strain is
You
at.
get worried.
Yeah, but it's close. I mean, that there is showing that it's basically ready for commercialisation. The commercial ones at the moment, $2,500. That's just out of the question. No one's going to ever do that. If we get it down to $10, well, then people might. You say you put on one on every 100 beasts, well, then you've actually got some idea of what's happening. You don't put it on every single beast. We could actually put it on a proportion of the herd or the whatever.
What did you say they run off the 4G network?
Yeah.
Well, the useless around here.
But yeah, well, that's the best you've got at the moment.
Yeah, put a tower up in every paddock.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's the point. I mean, there's only work where you've got sort of connectivity, but some of these things now will, once they get back in next year, will download that information. So that you still, it's not lost, it's just not capped, it's just not transmitted in real time. And yeah, 4G, I don't think it's going to solve our problems either. From what I've been seeing about what's happening with 4G. So yeah, it's bigger requirements than next G, from what I've been seeing.
I went to the PetSmart one in Toowoomba last week,
Yeah.
and they had tracking calls on dingoes, and there was one dingo that went from Charleville down to the middle of New South Wales, 643 kilometres in 4 weeks.
Oh,
And the guy didn't even know, they'd been there 3 months, and the guy didn't even know that the dingo was there.
right, yeah.
Till they came to take it out.
Yeah, well, they had all the trouble in the world trying to take it out. pound should get him released.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Lee Allen's been doing this for years, like this tracking the dogs, and the last 20 years, 30 years, he's been doing the same, basically the same. I'm assuming the bigger
I think it's
devices.
probably radio tracking, and GPS tracking. Yeah.
No, I think it was
Most
just
recent
doing
stuff,
it.
I think,
Just-
was
yeah,
yesterday
The
was,
recent stuff, yeah, the early stuff probably radio tracking.
Yeah.
And what does he sort of pick up with that?
Oh, just what the dogs basically habits and how, and what sort of circles they work in, and he has a lot to do. He's done a lot with piranhas as well, and dingoes in the paddock and where they actually are situated and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's got interesting sort of stuff when you get into it and have a look around with it.
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, just to help that understanding of what, like you say, 600 kilometres is incredible, isn't it? You just
Yeah.
wouldn't imagine they did that.
And the other thing that Greg Mister was talking about with the GPS tracking and some of the, the guys that are getting out doing control work with GPS units, it means they can get a sense of, they might be resourcing people to do dog control over here when most of the dogs are actually over there. So they can reassign people and get a better impact for their dog basically. So,
Still on the bloke too, he puts a GPS tracker on his pig dog, and he's got a beam back to him. I haven't seen this yet, but I'm keen to find where it'll put your location where your pig dog is, and he'll just wait for it to stop so that it knows the dog's got a pig, and then he'll just track in and find the dog, shoot the pig, and then move on to the next one. I mean, that's pretty bloody good, so we just need to find out who that manufacturer is, because that seems like a pretty good concept as well.
Yeah, those big cars are out there pretty well because people losing dogs all the time, recently find them.
Yeah.
So they can go and travel and then got another big problem. So they have the advantage of being able to find a dog you've lost. But mate, the other day, blokes came in his place 2 o'clock in the morning looking for their dog. It was like 10 miles from where it was supposed to be. Upsetting something right. He was lucky that he didn't get shot because they thought thinking they were poachers or something.
Yeah.
But they got the dog back, and the dog didn't become a nuisance later on down the track. It's just a case we've shot a few picking up in the higher country, but got lost in that area. But the guy would get able to retrieve the dog without having to follow the dog, upset the neck or something.
The Australian Pig Doggers and Hunters Association, that kind of nearly required animals to use that sort of thing, I think, under their code of practice, just for that reason, so they can be sure they're not.
Otherwise you've got a nuisance.
Breeders for local associations.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, those big dogs, they use, they'll take them, I think, and no trouble at all, and they end up, they can dominate. They've got a big problem on them, and they know humans contact, so they can try from it, so they end up interbreeding with super dogs or whatever you want to call them. So yeah, that's an advantage having that sort of thing.
You know what, you never heard what model it was or what who
No,
made it?
it's just, I think it's just the one you can buy at the gun shop or eBay or wherever they can do. I don't know how you do it, but I know a few blokes do it, and yeah, a lot of them have got the radio trackers now so they can find their dogs in the paddock. And that's the battery goes flat, she's all over it.
Basta Barra and Dolby,
They sell them.
It's not cheap either,
Is it? Probably put a dog collar on eBay and I'll get some.
Just pick up a copy of Bacon Busters.
Bacon busters, is it?
Yeah, that should be in that, because that's a pig dog.
Pig magazine.
Any questions for Tim?